Yo, what's poppin' everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Lesage here. Today we're going to be covering over a spicy deck, Lugia V-STAR, which isn't that spicy, but we are cutting out the Cinccinos from the deck. No more rats, no more mouses, no more hamsters or guinea pigs. Lugia with spicy tech basics. We first really saw this deck at NAIC, where my fellow teammate Alex Schemanske was able to make top 32 with a very similar build. Is this deck better than Lugia with Cinccino? We'll have to find out. Stay tuned for the strategy, deck list, gameplay, and more. If you want to copy and paste this list right into PTCG Live, head over to the description and copy and paste it right there in your game to play along with this video. If you need any cards, check out our sponsors at Kayfabe, GameStop, the Shuffle Squad website, and PTCGL store. That being said, let's jump into this list. Kicking things off, we are very much a tried and true Lugia deck. We're going to be using Lugia V-STAR's Summoning Star ability to summon back Archeops. We can get Archeops in our discard pile through a variety of our supporters, whether we're using Professor's Research, Carmine, or maybe we're going to be using Ultra Ball, Earthen Vessel. Any way that we can discard it, we're trying to discard those cards. Archeops is going to allow us to accelerate energies to our various Pokemon. You can see there's no Cinccino here, so we gotta make up for having some valuable attackers otherwise. Iron Hands might be one of our main attackers, but in other games, we might be using Drapion V against a Gardevoir EX deck. Our whole plan is to really figure out which Pokemon we want to attack with, such as, is Wellspring gonna be able to knock out 2 Pokemon with limited HP? Is Bloodmoon Ursaluna going to be the MVP against a Miraidon deck? Or is Drapion going to be powerful against a deck that's weak to darkness? Overall, we're going to be playing this build in a metagame where there are not Stage 2 Pokemon EX, or that we predict that there's not going to be Stage 2 Pokemon EX. If worse comes to worse, we can always try to do some stuff with Wellspring Ogerpon to snipe a couple basics before they evolve, or use Wyrdeer V to take out a big HP'd Pokemon. But this deck does struggle against decks like Charizard EX and Dragapult EX, because we really can't knock out a 330 HP beast of a Pokemon with relative ease compared to the Cinccino list. That being said, play Cinccino in a metagame where you're expecting Dragapult and or Charizard in any capacity, or play this deck if you're not really expecting those. It could be a really good pick for a league challenge or a league cup depending on what you're looking towards. We have some other really cool cards in this deck, such as Thornton that allows us to transform in between our different Pokemon, and of course our Legacy Energy, which can provide one less prize card against our opponent, meaning that they might have to draw a few more prize cards or a few more attacks in order to win the game. I think this deck is incredibly cool, and like I said, list is available in the description. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and play some games with it and see how it does. When I'm playing the games, it's not always going to be the best showcase of the deck, but I do want to try to get a real game against any deck, really showcasing what this deck can do, whether it's because it's super aggressive or I get out the strategy or something else like that. I'm not always going to say that I'm going to win or lose, or that the game's going to be a 45-minute game where I'm playing cracked out of my mind, but it is one of those things where I really want to show how this deck can work on PTCG Live. Let's jump and do that. Okay, so our opponent chose a coin flip, but I hope that's not an auto choose or an auto choice. I don't know how PTCG Live works, to be honest. I just play this game. Okay, do I want to go first? Yes, you want to go first with Lugia, so we're able to evolve into Lugia V-STAR as quickly as turn 2. So let's see what we got going on here. I mean, of course, we had to start with Lumineon, right? So we're playing against a Wugtrio mill deck. Interesting. Maybe we could draw some extra prize cards with Iron Hands. To me, that sounds like a really good idea. And we'll just see however our opponent sets up here. All right, looks like we're finally kicking this game off. Now, our hand's a little bit awkward. We're going to try to get off something with Captured Aroma. Tails would be ideal, so at least we can get our Lugia out. And Lugia here seems pretty good. We want to search through, see what we have. Iron Hands is pretty much the attack that I want to be using over and over again. So let's go ahead and go for Lugia. Because we do need to get out the V-Star. Do I want to pitch my hand away with Carmen? Honestly, I don't think so. I think that our hand, it's like, it's pretty spooky. I will put Legacy Energy onto our Lumineon, and I don't want to lose the 2 gift energies. I'm okay if we lose 1, but I also don't want to lose a Lugia V-Star as well. And we'll see if our opponent's AFK or not. Okay, so our opponent's actually playing. For a second, I thought that they weren't just setting up. So we're going to be playing against Wyrdeer Mill. They're discarding a lot of our cards, so we don't want to be too discard heavy. Once we're set up, we want to knock out our opponent's Pokemon over and over and over again. This should be a relatively favorable matchup, I think, really showcasing how powerful Lugia can be. And the other cool thing that we could do is put Lumineon. We could put Awkward Return back into our deck with Lumineon V there. Not too worried about our retreat cost. Really just trying to knock out our opponent's Wiglets over and over. And you want to know what? I'm fine with the Iono. Our hand was like, we were going to lose a decent bit of resources there. I'd still like to discard a few more cards if that's a possibility. Not entirely sure how we're going to get there, but let's see what we top deck. I think that's one thing about Lugia. We can always see what we top deck when it comes down to it. And it's matchups like Control that you don't always need to have double Archeops in play. So we'll get and see what we can do. They still have to get set up, right? And yeah, Mimikyu is something that we got to deal with, but I don't think we need to worry about it too much. We still have Triple Boss. Some cool stuff going on over there. Something to note of the Legacy Energy, once you attach Legacy Energy, the Legacy Energy is on that Pokemon. Both Lumineon and Wellspring do shuffle back the Legacy Energy, but we can attack with something like Wellspring if we wanted to. Before I do anything, I'm going to put Mesagosa in play and see if I can get a little bit lucky. Let's see if Mesagosa wants to get us what we want. Tails, nothing there. Is there a way for us to pitch away some cards? I'm not really worried about our opponent knocking us out per se. So what I'm going to actually do here is just go Jet Energy, bringing up our Lugia V. I'm going to use Jacques. Jacques is going to get a couple other Archeops because I'm going to try to draw on some cards that could pitch it away. It's going to shuffle up those Carmine and research that we had in our deck. And we're going to go ahead and go read the win on the chops. So you're not always going to get those chops in the discard pile, but you can see we're ready to go for a turn 3 Lugia V-Star. And that's the next best thing. Like turn 2 is the best thing. Turn 3 is the next best thing. And our opponent's also not putting on a whole bunch of pressure on us. So we might be able to go ahead and get out a Iron Hands next turn. We might be able to do a lot of really cool things. See how our opponent's mill deck's kind of working. I've actually haven't played against one of these bug trio decks in a while, but I do think people are always kind of talking about them. Just so anyone's want to know what's going on, Undersea Tunnel discards the top 3 cards of our deck for each coin flip that they get. We're hoping that they get 0 coin flips here, because that'd be really tough. But if we can knock them out with something like Iron Hands or even Wellspring, Ogre Pawn, we'd really like to get extra prize cards, knocking out multiple Pokemon. That's really our strategy of the deck that we're going to be choosing here. So things like Drapion aren't really going to matter. Wyrdeer is not going to really matter. Bloodmoon Ursaluna is not going to really matter. A lot of our deck is not going to matter when it comes down to it. And they're just going to go Nestash, so even if they don't really get too much, we can knock out this Wug Trio. Their deck seems like it can kind of fold apart at the seams. But actually, you want to know what? There's an Iono for you. That's a little bit tough. We'll see how this plays out. Okay, that was a really good Iono there for our opponents. We do get 1 less retreat cost if we really want to retreat into anything. Tails, 3 cards. Discard a chops for us. Discarding 3 energies is wild for our opponent. Great job to them. So we did get a Lumineon. I think this is kind of the point where I'm like, I would like to knock out our opponent's active. And I think it's really one of those things where I'm going to have to go Lumineon goes here. And I'm going to have to search my deck for probably a research so we could pitch those other cards. I don't want to really dig too hard, but like, come on, we kind of have to, right? Jet Energy to me seems like the best option. So we're going to go Jet Energy, bringing up our Lumineon up into the active. And because we could use our Aqua return, getting these cards back and knock out our opponent's Wugtrio. Maybe we'll get lucky and get the Lugia V-STAR off the rip. There's Lugia V-STAR. That's a lot of Pokemon we could have got there. So we're going to get the second Archeops in this discard pile. We already have our Lugia, so we are going to get that turn 3. I don't care about Wyrdeer in this matchup, and if worse comes to worse, I'd say we could Thornton, but Thornton opportunity is pretty much gone. We do go Aqua Return into another Pokemon. The other Pokemon that I'd really like to set up here is definitely just going to go ahead and be... it's gonna be what's it called, Iron Hands. I'm literally gapping here. There's the Ultra Ball. Gonna thin those away, and we're just gonna go Iron Hands for the majority of the game. So let's go ahead, do this. Let's go Summoning Star, get back in those double chops, and at this point we're trying to win the game in 3 turns. Hopefully that our opponent's not able to really do too much more than that. Just so that we're pretty safe on our energies, I'm gonna go ahead and put Mist Energy. I'm just gonna attach the 1 energy to the Lumineon, and then I'm going to attach some more energies with Primal Turbo here. Let's go Primal Turbo. Primal Turbo is gonna go ahead and go Gift Energy and probably Mist Energy onto the Iron Hands EX. If I can click on the right Pokemon, and let's go for that Aqua Return for the knockout, and we do want to return the Lumineon back into our deck. That does free up our Legacy Energy too, so that we have access for Iron Hands. We could search it out. We do play Lightning Energies. You cannot search those out with Archeops. So we've drawn a prize card. Our opponent might not be able to pitch 3 cards with Undersea Tunnel. They might have to sacrifice a Pokemon. Whichever way it is, we can go between Wellspring and Iron Hands to really put some pressure onto our opponent. I'm thinking so well this game thanks to the advanced GG. The formula here is I'm playing Lugia at a next level because of the advanced GG. Try it out, y'all. I really like this product. And I wouldn't just say that. I'm really one of those people where it's just like, if I didn't mess with a brand, I like, as a content creator, there's a such thing as collecting a check. I'll be real. Like, but I wouldn't be like, I actually drink this. I actually like it. Like, I actually really like the advanced GG products. Oh, they play Reversal Energy. Duh. Okay, so Reversal Energy, they're going to be behind on prize cards. They could rip up the top 9 cards of our deck. Fingers crossed they don't take away all of our Lightning and Legacy energies, because Iron Hands would suck at that point. And like, look, normal decks aren't really ripping out all your resources. Like, our opponent has taken out quite a few, whatever. But it's one of those things where, like, we're trying our best, and it does cause us to play different. We are playing into a different type of matchup. So if our opponent rips a bunch of energies, kudos to them. They win the game. Awesome. If they don't, sick. Whatever. That's the way that I'm looking at it. But fingers crossed they're not ripping anything, okay? Like, if you're on the other side of this chat, pray for me in the comments, because I'm scared of the Undersea Tunnel. Also funny seeing the word tunnel now that I've moved to Montreal. I'm used to driving under a tunnel to go into the city all the time. So it's just like, I'm scared of the Undersea Tunnel. I'm like, low-key, the Undersea Tunnel, a little bit scarier than the Wugtrio. Accompanying Flute, a little bit annoying. They could bring up some Pokemon that we have in our deck. Nothing that we could really do too much. They have Beach Court. We could retreat into that for free. We could also shuffle it back into our deck. So they're just going to draw some cards, whatever. And we could really try to draw some extra prize cards here. It might be actually better to attack with Wellspring in this matchup, now that I know they don't have Manaphy. So that might be something like to consider going forward, so you can knock out Wugtrio, Wiglet. You're still getting your 2 prize cards. You're still shuffling those energies back, but you could put your opponent in a predicament. Also, it's decks like these that don't play too many switching cards, so sometimes you can just use the first attack Sob to stop them from retreating. You might be like, it does damage, but you can put a double turbo on that Pokemon and really cause your opponent some pain. I think they're going to get 2 heads this time to bring us to 19 cards. Tails, tails, tails. That sucks for them that they had to waste that whole thing. Now for us, we don't want to really risk anything. We want to go ahead and just put on this. We already have a Mist and a Gift. I'm not really worried about the other ones. I'd like to keep the Jets in my deck just for mobility purposes. So we're going to attach those. That does activate Ampy very much. Don't really care about my opponent's hand here. And I'm just going to leave our hand as is. I don't think they're going to discard Lightning Energy and Legacy Energy, even if they play like Enhance Hammer. Like, they need a lot of resources to keep on using Wugtrio turn after turn. Even though they have Reversal Energy, like, I think we're just able to run through our opponent's deck. And this is the whole thing. We're able to just run through our opponent's deck when it comes to situations like this. We are set up. Try to knock out an Iron Hands when you can't knock out Iron Hands. We're drawing 2 prize cards per turn. We put a clock down timer on our opponent. We win in 2 turns. They have to win the game in 2 turns before we win the game in 2 turns. They cannot discard 11 cards from our deck, and I also have Iona to make my hand thinner. So unless they're playing Enhanced Hammer to get rid of my Legacy Energy, Ampy very much is just going to stay live for the entire game. And it's the same thing with other decks too, where it's just like, oh, you put out a Miraidon, I'm gonna put out a Bloodmoon. Oh, you put out this, I'm attack with this. We have a lot of opportunities to attack with Bloodmoon, Wyrdeer, so we have these like huge 1-2 punch. And also, Lugia is not a bad attacker either by using Tempest Dive. One thing that I'm not displaying in this game that you might display in other games, or you might have to kind of overcome in other games, is if Wyrdeer is a valid option, you might want to use Archeops to accelerate energies to your other Pokemon, so that by the time you end up using your Frontier Road, you'll have energies in play for Wyrdeer V to use Psy Shield Bash. So keep that in mind as you're playing other matchups, but right now we don't need to worry about it in this particular matchup. Also, if our opponent ever brings up Mimikyu, we can just knock out Mimikyu with Archeops. Archeops is also attacker in this deck. So even if they put something like Bravery Charm or something like that, we can still knock them out with Archeops. So we're just kind of chilling right now. We also have Boss's Orders if we ever need to deal with it. We haven't really played them. Even if our opponent discards the top 9 cards of our deck, I'm really not worried. They can discard 9, 9, 9. We're going to win before that ever happens. Okay. This would be a great turn to get Boss's Orders. No Boss's Orders for us. At this point, this is when I'd want to just double check to see what we have with Primal Turbo. You could always kind of soft check your deck for Primal Turbo. I'm just going to go 1-2 on the Chops. Gonna grab another one with Chops here as well. So there's another energy, still keeping the Jet Energy in there. So this gets us the 120 with Archeops. I'm going to slap double turbo onto the active. And what I'm going to do here is Iono. I'm going to give us more cards in our deck and also put us in a position where we are trying to get boss in case they try to pull this maneuver again. Let's go ahead and retreat. Double turbo, and I'm just going to take care of Gift. So that's the 3 energies because of Beach Quartz. And let's just go ahead with this and go for the knockout with Speedwing. So our opponent so far, not really having a huge answer against anything that we're doing. Really looking for a boss to win the game with the Iron Hands EX. And as we're literally saying that, we do have the boss in our hand. So we just need to go Archeops attached to our Iron Hands. We win the game. We also put some energy back with that Iono. And considering we're at the bottom cards of our deck, we have game on board unless our opponent goes Counter Catcher, Iono, something else. Survival Brace is something interesting here that could really mess with us. If the Pokemon in this card is attached to has full HP, which they do, it's not knocked out. Its remaining HP becomes 10. We literally have a Jamming Tower in our hands, so our opponent really can't do too much with that. We also have Beach Court, meaning that they have to bring up Archeops or Lugia, we have free retreat right now with their Beach Court. So bringing up a free retreater actually is more beneficial to us than whatever our opponent was doing before. So one thing to note is, like, if you're playing cards like Beach Courts, they apply for both you and your opponent. So we'll have to see how that ends up playing out across the board. But right now I'm feeling pretty good about it. I think our opponent's having a big struggle game, and we're about to clear their board, even though that they don't do prize cards. So drawing prize cards, not the metrics they're going at. They've only taken up 2/3 of our deck, a little bit less than that actually, and we're in a position just to like rob our opponent of this game. So even if they end up getting 9 cards here with Undersea Tunnel, and they have been getting a little bit unlucky, they got 1 out of 6 coin flips so far. Terrible odds. They should have a couple more. Even if they end up getting 3 to go 4 out of 9, that brings it pretty close to 50-50. You'll experience some variance if you're playing this WUG trio deck. There's that Iono. The Iono might make things a little bit more difficult for us, but maybe we'll just get boss. No boss, that's fine. Maybe we'll get a supporter. A supporter could potentially get down to some of these other cards. So our opponent's playing around our win con, but they still have to discard quite a few cards in order to make this a thing. Boss would just be a sick top deck. But we can't be like, oh, we'll just top deck boss. Like, we don't know what we're going to top deck, because they could also discard stuff with Undersea Tunnel. Nothing but to wait and see what's going to happen. Let's enjoy the show. Heads, heads, heads. Okay. What are we going to top deck? Research. Well, research could get us there. So let's go Primal Turbo. We do have Jamming Tower in our deck. Do I want to risk it? I mean, our opponent could just bring up something else, and I don't have any other energies in play because they discarded quite a few. I'm just going to take the risk and try to go for a Jamming Tower. So we have cards in here for a reason, and we're going to shut off our opponent's Survival Brace. Let's go ahead and go for Ampy very much for the game. Our opponent brought that much closer just by discarding a lot of key cards from us. So if they played Counter Catcher, we could have won that game, or we could have lost that game. But you want to know what? We didn't lose that game. We won that game. We take those. Iron Bundle also would have been good there, but our opponent did lock our bench up with Accompanying Flute as well. Lugia proving to be a strong foe against the WUG Trio Mill deck. And there you have it. We were able to utilize Iron Hands over and over again, even attacking with Lumineon, even attacking with Archeops. The opportunities are almost endless when it comes to any Lugia deck. So I hope that really kind of showcases what this deck can do. And maybe you'll give it a try out your next League Cup or League Challenge. Again, I recommend this build if your metagame has very few Charizard and Dragapult decks. In that case, switch to the Cinccino version. Otherwise, I think that this build's a little bit better against Gardevoir, Lost Zone Box, Raging Bolt, and a handful of the other decks that you might see in the metagame. List is in the description. Be sure to check out all of our sponsors in the description as well. And if you're looking for an awesome community to join, I do have the Zach Lesage Discord server in the description as well. So check that out. I also offer coaching, so if you're looking to kind of improve your gameplay, you've watched the videos, you love the videos, you're like, hey, Zach seems like a cool guy, totally love to help you with some coaching and stuff like that. Other than that, I'm just vibing, getting ready for Worlds, getting ready for Shredded Fable to release online. We got a lot of great content scheduled for all that, so I appreciate everyone for tuning in. I'll catch up with all y'all later. Peace out and have a great one. Want to support the Shuffle Squad? Be sure to check out all of our sponsors in the description to pick up Pokemon TCG singles, sealed, and PTCG live codes. You made it to the end. Thank you so much for watching this entire video from the Shuffle Squad. Honestly, from the bottom of our hearts, we appreciate each and every person that supports our content. watches what we have going on every single day, every single week, even from time to time, and continuously allows us to have a forum to project our creative content towards the Pokemon TCG community. So if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and even leave a comment to help boost the YouTube algorithm. That being said, we'll catch you with our next video. Thanks again. Take it easy.